Welcome to It's a Beautiful Mess podcast, the podcast where we tackle tough conversations to help rebuild marriages and inspire newlyweds through godly principles.
Yes.
How are you, baby?
I am doing very well. Thank you. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I am good. I have no complaints.
Yeah.
I really have nothing to complain about.
Been a busy day.
It has been busy. You know how people look forward to the weekend and they say, "Oh yeah, it's the weekend." Sometimes I feel like weekends are a little overrated
Yeah.
because there's things you want to do around the house and you're busy doing those things and next thing you
Exactly.
know it's the work week. So, but I'm still grateful for the weekends. It does give me an opportunity to take a break from work. So,
And yeah, that's true. To get some things done
yeah,
around
so
the house.
yeah, so it's I have nothing to complain about.
Yeah.
All right, so babe, what are we
Yes.
talking about today?
So today we're talking about being vigilant. Okay. And it is important in marriage. So the Bible calls us to watchfulness in many areas. And this is a topic that challenges everyone, specifically in marriage. When we think about vigilance, we often picture like guarding against danger or being alert. At least I do.
Yeah.
But how does that apply to marriage, right? Why do we need to be vigilant in our relationship with our spouse is another question we should consider in this topic. And what are we guarding against exactly? And most importantly, how do we live this out in a way that strengthens our marriage? So, babe, this is something we've talked about a lot in our own journey, right?
Yes.
So, like 1 Peter 5:8 talks about being sober minded and watchful.
Yeah. And for me, when I'm hearing that verse, First Peter chapter 5 verse 8, which you just mentioned, I think about how easy it is to get distracted without even realizing it, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's not just by the big things, but by everyday life. Like I was just talking about work. We have responsibilities.
Yeah.
Even good things like hobbies or even spending time with our kids. All of that can slowly shift our focus if we're not careful.
Agreed.
Now, being sober minded and watchful in marriage to me is about keeping, your priorities straight.
Okay.
It's asking myself, am I giving my best attention to my wife or am I letting the other things take that spot?
Okay.
Now, it's not living, you know, in paranoid life, but it's being aware, just simply aware of where my time, my energy, and my heart are going.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that I like that you said it's not like being paranoid, like, am I doing the right thing?
Yeah,
What's going on? Are you
exactly.
okay? Because that could be annoying.
Exactly. Because if I'm not paying attention, little cracks can start to form without me even noticing.
Yeah.
And by the time you see the damage, it's way harder to fix. And it's just like a home, if you are a homeowner, and you've been, living in a home for many years, or you bought a house that was built in a certain year, over time, you may find that the foundation is cracking. So you want to make sure that you take advantage of it while it's small and not let it grow into this, bigger issue.
Yeah.
So, like I say, for us, it's been about staying alert, not just to what's coming against us, but also to making sure we're still moving toward each other.
Agreed. And if I could, I want to add that I think it's worth it to speak about what it means to be sober minded according to the Greek meaning, so that we do not insert our assumptions or cultural interpretations into the meaning. So, just for a second, I'm gonna like take your seat. Normally, you are talking about vocabulary.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, sober minded refers to exercising self control, also like avoiding excessive indulgence or distractions that could cloud your judgment. In the ancient text, it often implies like abstinence from like an intoxicating substance, but spiritually, it broadens to maintaining clear and focused thinking.
Okay.
Basically, the opposite of being irrational. So, how many of us can say we're totally sober and watchful
Mm.
over our marriage so that we're making rational decisions that yield the fruit of the Spirit and our decisions in reference to our spouse? So, I'll say that again. How many of us can say we are totally sober and watchful over our marriage so that we are making rational decisions that yield the fruit of the Holy Spirit and our decisions? Like the fruit of the Holy Spirit is revealed in the decisions we make regarding our spouse.
Correct.
Instead, I will argue that many times our thoughts are clouded with perhaps, let's say, small offenses, um, unforgiveness,
Yep. That's a big one.
right? That impede our ability to be sober minded. So one might even say that we're drunk with ungodly justice toward each other, since we're talking about being sober
Oh
minded.
man.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe we're a little intoxicated
Wow.
with ungodly justice toward one another. Many times
Oh.
we can we should consider First Peter 5:8 in our well in our individual lives. We do generally reference or refer to First Peter 5:8.
Yep.
But and that's in our individual spiritual lives, but it also applies to marriage. The enemy would love nothing more than to destroy an institution between man and woman that God created to be a kind of Christ in the church. It's vital to understand that most battles that we face in marriage are going to be spiritual. They are going to be spiritual. And we have to be very careful. Sometimes we start having arguments and we don't even know why. Like
Yep.
that's happened between my husband and I. It's like something
Like what happened?
like why what happened? Like you could feel there's a force and something feels off. You're irritated and you don't know why. And there's no real root to whatever the conflict is. Like why are we actually at odds with one another?
Yeah. Yeah, and I like how you mentioned, the enemy wouldn't have anything, well, would love to the opportunity to, um,
Destroy God's institution.
yeah,
Yeah.
within marriage,
Yeah.
because if he can get the two of us, then most likely he can get to our kids as well,
Absolutely.
because, yeah, the division is, it can bring it can have some effects on your children as well. So
Mhm.
it's a domino effect.
And on the testimony of Christ in our marriage. Like we're Christians.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people use the term Christian so lightly
Mm-hmm.
that it it's watered down in many ways and it doesn't have the influence that it should have in our culture. It's like, okay, you're a Christian, so what?
Yep.
So is millions of other people.
Exactly.
How are you different from me? And I'm in the world. So our marriage, when we are attacked there
Mm-hmm.
and we allow the conflict to tear us apart, it impacts the testimony of Christ in our marriage.
Yeah.
Because where is this Christ that you guys love so much in your conflict?
Yeah. Where's the ability to overcome?
Yeah.
As Christ overcame the world. So
Absolutely.
I like those points that you made.
Thank you.
So question. I know you also talked about our individual spiritual awareness, and being vigilant. And then just want to talk about going a little bit more detail, not
Okay.
too much in reference to our marriage. So what does it mean to be vigilant? in your marriage or in marriage in general.
Okay.
So when I hear that word vigilant, my mind immediately goes to security guards or watchmen, right?
Okay.
Peoples whose job it is to keep their eyes open for danger.
I like it.
Yeah. But in marriage, it's not just about watching for something bad to happen.
Mm-hmm.
For me, being vigilant means paying attention to my wife, my own attitude, and the atmosphere of our home.
Mm.
Because I could walk into that room after my wife has had a long day at work, and if I'm not being mindful
Mm-hmm.
of her
Yeah.
and how she's moving, then I could immediately say something that may trigger and may cause a domino effect. So
Mm.
I have to have spiritual intelligence to be able to
Discern
discern
what's going on.
exactly. Even with my kids, if I see something that's off, I don't just come in the house and say, "Hey, how you doing? How's your day?" and move about my business. I'm looking to
You're
see what kind
watching.
of facial expressions they're making, what motions they're displaying, all of it.
He absolutely does. My husband is so attentive, and sometimes it just irritates me. I'm like, honey, what are you looking at?
Yeah,
Like, I'm just watching, I'm just looking.
exactly.
But he's also examining and paying
Hmm.
attention
Yeah,
to my behavior, and how I'm moving. He's known me for so long, he can tell
yeah,
when something is wrong with me,
yeah,
when something's off. Even if it's nothing major, it's like, okay, she's not in a playful mood. She's in her business, she's wearing her business hat or what have you.
yeah. Um, and then it's noticing when her tone is different
Mm-hmm.
as well, when she seems a little quieter than usual, or when we haven't laughed together, like you mentioned, in a
Mm-hmm.
while. Now, those little things matter. And remember earlier I said it's not always the big things, it's the little things.
Yeah.
If I ignore them, it's like ignoring a leaky roof.
Mm.
You might be fine for a while, right? But eventually the water damage it shows up.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, there have been times where I thought everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
We're good. But later I realized I had missed a moment to speak life into her, to pray with her, or to address something that was quietly eating away at our connection.
Mm.
So I know you mentioned, babe, that when I come home and do it to try to get an idea of what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
it's because I've learned from
The past.
previous situations,
Yeah.
and I just don't want to miss the opportunity, to encourage you. So that's why I'm adamant
Yeah.
about it the way I am.
I understand.
Yeah. So once again, vigilance means I'm choosing to stay aware, not just coasting through the relationship on autopilot,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
It's also being mindful of my own heart, checking if I'm letting irritation, pride or selfishness creep in. Because if I don't deal with that stuff, it's not long before it starts showing up in how I treat her.
Mm.
So for me, like I say, vigilance isn't just guarding against something, it's actively guarding for something, which is our peace, our trust, and our joy together.
I agree. And I'll even add here, you guys, as we continue our conversation, one major point to consider is understanding that vigilance in marriage is about being aware of the little things that can grow into big problems if left unchecked, like my husband said. So, in season 1, we introduce you all to the ESPM framework. That's one strategy that you guys can use to address the unchecked issues.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, it's not just about avoiding problems. It's also about being proactive. Being vigilant means looking out for opportunities to build your spouse up, how you can serve them,
Mm-hmm.
and deepen your connection. Ensuring that we are being intentional in every part of our relationship is really important in marriage. Like when you go to work and you give
Yep.
110%, that is what
Mm.
we're looking for in our marriage. Like,
Wow.
don't come home to
Exactly.
your spouse and give them a 30. You
Wow.
know,
Wow.
like, hey, you're going to get what's left over.
Exactly.
No,
I've
that's
let the work exhaust me, and this is what's left over. For you. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
it's important because we forget to be there, to be present when we
Mm.
get home because we expect our spouses to understand. Like,
Yeah.
you understand, I've been at work all day. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've perhaps I've been at work all day as well,
Mm-hmm.
but we still have to show up for each other.
I agree.
So the next question you may be asking is, why is vigilance so important in marriage? We've spoke about it a bit here, but just remember, marriage is sacred. It's a covenant, not just between you and your spouse, but between you all and God. And anything sacred will always be under attack. If we're not vigilant, it's easy for the enemy to sneak in and sow seeds of division, distractions, and simply destroy our marriages.
Mm-hmm.
So, honestly, nobody just wakes up one day saying, I want my marriage to fall apart, right? I sure hope
I hope not.
no one no
Yeah.
one wakes
Jeez.
up and just says, I just want this to fall apart.
Mm.
It's usually a slow fade
Yeah.
into that mindset.
Yep.
Being vigilant helps us catch small cracks
Mm-hmm.
before they become major
Right.
issues, sinkholes, if
Mm.
you will,
Yeah.
that you have no choice but to fall into.
Exactly.
For example, perhaps you notice you're not spending as much time together, or you're starting to take each other for granted. Vigilance means addressing those things early, before they grow into separation from one another, silence in the house, avoiding,
Mm-hmm. Avoidance. Yeah.
yes, avoidance, thank you. Um, Surface conversations, never going deeper than the
Yes. No.
niceties.
And okay.
Right.
Bye. And got it.
Exactly. Personally, I think this is key. If I feel annoyed by something my husband has done or irritated, initially I may try to push the thoughts away. However, these accusatory and ugly thoughts about him keep coming to me, right?
Mm.
And I know that's not accidental. So I start wrestling with whether I should say something. Um, that is a solid indicator to me
Mm-hmm.
that I need to get in a hurry to reconcile with him before it compiles into long,
Yeah.
silent, awkward moments that I no longer recall why I'm not talking to him anymore. It's like
Wow.
I completely, and it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm annoyed at something that I never addressed, and then everything else he does starts to annoy me that had nothing to do with the original annoyance.
Mm.
And so I can't remember what I was irritated about. So
Wow.
start to address these things early so that we don't begin to create this false reality that
There we go.
this person
There we go.
is an issue,
Yep.
right?
There we go. That false reality. That's a big thing because you're creating, in your mind that this person is, bad or who you thought they was based on that first mistake, only because it wasn't addressed. So
Yeah.
now that first mistake or that annoyance, it's continuing to grow
Yeah.
and fester,
You're
and
right.
and
It's
it's
picking at
grown
you.
so much to the fact that you don't even recognize it anymore,
Hmm.
because it's consumed you.
Exactly.
And
There you go.
yes, and you hit that on the head.
No, I like the way you used the term consume there. It is
Mm,
consuming, kind
yeah.
of like the Hulk.
Yeah, like, hey, I can't help it,
Right?
man. This
And
is where I am.
right? And it's not just about guarding against the negative, but protecting the positive.
Mm-hmm.
Guard your love for each other, your trust for one another, and your intimacy, which are things that keep your marriage strong.
Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah.
Make sure you guard it. Um, So how do we practice vigilance in marriage? Because I know we talk about, what to do and
Yeah,
what it means. So
practical
let's come
application.
up with some application here. So for me, it starts with staying checked in,
Mm-hmm.
not just physically being in the same room, but mentally and emotionally showing up. That means I'm actually listening when she talks, not just nodding while scrolling on my phone. And it means I'm paying attention to the small cues. Like I
Which we've
say,
discussed before.
exactly.
Yeah.
Her expressions, her energy, because those often tell me more than the words, which is what I normally be fishing for when I come home. It's like, hey, babe, how are you? Okay, well, give me a hug. That hug didn't feel very strong. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
the hug yesterday. So it's like, okay, well, let me try the next thing.
And you guys know how that is when your spouse wants a hug, right, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't feel like giving them a hug,
Yeah.
and you do the little church pat.
Yep. It's like, oh,
They can feel that.
those are indicators for me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I also think vigilance is about being quick to close the gap when something feels off. And I think you mentioned that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
If I sense tension, like I mentioned in the hug, I don't wait days to bring it up. Like, hey, yesterday when I came home, that hug felt kind of churchy. I'll say,
Felt a little cold.
yeah, exactly. I'll say, hey, is everything good? Because I'd rather have a short, maybe uncomfortable conversation
Mm-hmm.
now than a major blow up later.
Yeah.
And then also you have to be mindful of, that person that's on the other end. It may not be a good time and that's totally fine, but express that, to them and say, you know what? Something is bothering me, but if we could, can we reconvene tomorrow so I can gather my thoughts and we can talk about it.
Yeah.
So, that's always an option.
Yep. Use wisdom.
Exactly. Now, prayer is a big one for me too. Now, it's hard to be caught off guard when you're regularly praying for your spouse and your marriage,
Yeah.
which we found that to be a big benefit
Mm-hmm.
in our marriage.
Yep.
It's like setting a spiritual alarm system. God will nudge you when something needs attention.
Yeah.
And finally, it's about consistency, which we can't, just treat vigilance like a fire drill,
Yeah.
only doing it when we see the smoke. It's got to be a part of our daily rhythm.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's sending her a quick encouraging text in the middle of the day, setting aside time to talk after the kids are asleep, or even, just, planning a date night,
Mm-hmm.
we're watering the garden every day, not just when the plants look thirsty, but every day.
I agree. And I like the garden scenario. I don't think that's the first time you've used that. It's beautiful because that's
Yeah,
where things grow and
exactly,
die.
exactly.
Yeah. So, what are the consequences of neglecting vigilance in our marriage? So, we start to create space for problems to grow,
Mm,
like weeds in the garden,
yep.
right? We're not pruning, we're not watching and
Mm-hmm.
taking care of that garden.
Exactly.
Misunderstandings turn into arguments. Distance turns into disconnections. And before you know it, you're in a place you never wanted to be, like we discussed before.
Mm-hmm.
This is why vigilance is not optional, it's essential. Think about it like this: if you had a garden, you wouldn't just plant the seeds and walk away. You'd water them,
Mm-hmm.
you'd pull out the weeds and
Mm-hmm.
protect them from pests.
Yep.
Marriage is the same way. It requires constant care and attention. So, our encouragement to you guys in this conversation is to commit to being intentional, proactive, and prayerful in our marriages. Remember, vigilance is not about being perfect. It's about being present and purposeful.
I like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And honey, did you have anything else to add? Because I feel like for a moment there we were sharing similar stories, and I think I've hit everything.
Yeah, I feel like we touched on everything in reference to, being vigilant in the marriage. I just want to encourage everyone, take it seriously. Um, don't take it lightly. And yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
I agree. And when you say take it serious, if I can piggyback on that,
Hmm.
And I'm pausing for a moment, you guys, because I'm thinking about the Lord. And when he says take it seriously, it's because the Lord, God doesn't, he, divorce isn't, it really shouldn't be an option when Christ is the center of our marriage.
Yeah.
If he's at the center, your husband is being led by God, you're being led by God, then the answers that you need are between the two of you and your knees. You know, between you and your spouse communicating and then getting on your knees before God. And in your Bible, the answers are there for every problem that we have. Nothing should allow you shouldn't allow anything to pull you away from the person you made a commitment to be with for as long as you're living.
Yeah.
Okay? So divorce should not be an option. And if you know our story, you know that we got divorced in our first marriage.
Yeah.
We made the decision in this marriage that it will never it's not an option. It's not an option. The only option we have is to go before the Lord.
Yes.
And ask him to help us through whatever it is that's going on. And guess what? He has not failed us yet.
Yeah.
And I don't expect that he will.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
I'm with you, baby.
All right, you guys. Well, guess what? Well, this is going to wrap up this season, you guys.
Yeah, we're done with season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been great. We've discussed a lot, and we don't know what's in store for season 3, but we'll seek God for, what we should be discussing or what he wants us to discuss with you.
Yeah.
Until then.
Yeah, and I just want to share since this is, our last episode in this season.
Yeah.
If you have been a listener or you're listening to this for the first time, please check out season 1.
Yes.
And the remainder of season 2. We do all of this for the glory of God, because we know how difficult it is
to be in a marriage,
to sustain a marriage.
Yes.
But without Christ, it is impossible. So I'm hoping that the listeners or those of you who are listening will obtain something, from what you've heard, and that you can apply it to your marriage.
Agreed.
And yeah, I'll be praying for everyone, all of our listeners, like we typically do, and
absolutely.
That's it.
Well, then I think this is a great transition to the challenge, our last challenge for season 2. We want you all to consider, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's called Turning Mess into Beauty Challenge. We want you all to consider one messy concept or topic that we have discussed during this episode that you and your spouse can transform into something beautiful this week. And remember, just take your time, choose one thing. If you were saying, geez, I got a lot to work on based on what we've discussed, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just choose one and work on that. Go before the Lord, the two of you together.
Make a list and choose one.
Yeah, there you go. You know the old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Wow.
It can be done. Even though it seems impossible, it can be done.
I don't know why I didn't think that was coming. I was like, wait, what?
How do you eat an elephant? Hey, it's that simple. All right, you guys. So thank you for joining. Babe, are you done laughing?
Yeah, I'm done.
Thank you for joining us for, the last episode of season 2 of It's a Beautiful Mess.
I'm all late. I'm still laughing.
That's okay. Be sure to follow us on our social platforms. We're everywhere, you guys. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Threads, Spotify, you name it. And so my statement to everyone is always remember to lead with love. And I will continue to encourage you to do that.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.